complete passing tutorial is here, and I know you guys are struggling this year, and this tutorial will be broken up into 12 segments. It's the basics, passing philosophy including body shape, touch direction, passing tempo, rushing v tempo, through balls, limiting through balls, and then the bonus segments of envisioning triangles, driven counter-attack passes, switching the play, recycling, give and goes, and beating team press. First up, the basics. To pass, it's ETS. To driven pass, it's R1 ETS. A lofted pass is double tapping the ETS button. Through balls are triangle. Lofted through balls are double triangle. Lifted through balls are L1 triangle. We then have threaded through balls, which is L1 R1 triangle. The cross, which is of course square. Lofted cross, which is of course L1 and the square button. R1 L1 cross, it's a very driven version of a cross. And pass and go, which you need to hold L1 as you press pass for the player to make a run. First up, passing philosophy. I need to talk about body shape in this segment simply because of how EA have now scripted the game in terms of passing and player body shape. If your back or even shoulder is facing towards the player that you desire to pass to, and the angle isn't at least 45 degrees towards that player, you will more than likely miss pass, simply because EA have made it more realistic and they have scripted the game to the point where you need to take a touch into the direction you need to pass next, or at least you need to first time pass into the direction that you need to pass next when you're facing towards the player you want to pass to. You cannot pass with your back to the opponent because the accuracy and speed goes down. So ensure that when you're taking a touch in FC25, you guys are taking into consideration where you want to go next, and you are essentially thinking ahead. And that comes from being less tunnel visioned and actually looking around at your passing options, and in general being proactive in your attack. Next up is passing tempo. Now, if first time passes are possible, I do highly recommend performing these. And that is because passing tempo is very important in your attack, and it makes you more unpredictable and your opponent's defense has less time to adjust. However, what I will say is when you are first time passing, ensure your body position or body direction or body shape is towards the player you need to pass to. If not, you need to take a touch into that relative direction and then you release the ball, because if you do not and you pass with your shoulder or back to where you need to go next, as I said, you will lose the ball. And a good way to actually increase tempo is the driven pass into regular pass. What this entails is you holding R1 and the pass button and then pressing pass after you receive the ball from that driven pass into another attacker. This ensures you can string together L passes that are quite quick and very hard to adjust defenders against, and it's a very good way to break down opponents and hence maintain a high tempo in your attack. Now, there is a difference between passing tempo and rushing. You see, rushing is you attempting to get on goal as quick as possible, and that comes from, let's say, over the top through balls, try and rush the play, or through balling in general is a form of rushing. You want to ensure that you're not rushing forward, yet your passes are calculated and you go back if need be. You need to assess the situation, and there's no passing options. Don't force it. Come back. Maintain a high tempo with fast, quick passing and releases. However, don't force it towards goal. Next up, we have through balls. Now, we have 3 rules for through balls that will hopefully improve your success with passing in FC25. If the player is completely alone, I recommend through balling with a regular through ball. If the player is being marked, let's say, but there is space to through ball through 2 defenders, use the L1 R1 through ball, because this will thread the through ball through the 2 defenders and the space, and ensure that your attacker can then run onto it as he gets around the defender who is marking him. And last but not least, if there is space in behind the defensive line that your attacker can run onto, a lofted through ball is sometimes the best technique, because what will happen is when you are attacking and you see your attacker running in behind, if you loft it, they can then try and get in behind the defense and get on the end of it. But you need to ensure you time these and ensure that your attacker is just on the shoulder of the defender before doing so, to ensure that the success rate is higher for your through ball conversion rate. And that brings me to a bit of a disclaimer for through balls. You see, at the end of the day, through balls are rushing, and you're attempting to try and get in on goal as quick as possible. What I will say is, if you watch pro players play against high caliber defenders, they're not necessarily always through balling to try and get in behind. No, they are controlling their build up and they are maintaining a high tempo, but in general keeping possession. They're not forcing the ball in behind. And a lot of people I see in my coaching academy when I'm coaching them rush in behind and lose the ball time after time, and there is no control, and I pull them up on it and I say, we need to fix this. I want you to build it up and get it into the box. This is the number one factor of how you can score in FC 25. Do you see that many counter attacks realistically in a high caliber pro game? No, you see them work it into the box and score goals that way, not from rushing. So my suggestion to you is to limit through balls in FC 25. Moving into the bonus segments, and these range from a variety of different attacking techniques with passing and tips from myself after years of being a pro player. First up is envisioning triangles. If you can envision triangles on the pitch with your players and look at them as shapes and not as players themselves, you will find it a lot easier to break down your opponent and pass around his press. If you look at it as if they are shapes, you will string passes together a lot easier. A lot of people are a little bit tunnel visioned and they only just look at one attacker that they have available, or they just look at the player on the ball, which really hinders their ability to pass around any defense. So ensure that you're looking at the players on the pitch that you're attacking with as triangles or shapes. The driven counter pass. Now this is something I've discovered. I haven't seen it too often in even the pro community. But if you're with your wing back or winger, whoever it is, and you see your winger free with your either map or with your vision, what you can do is hold in L1 and R1 and drive that cross, and it will start counter attacks instantly, because for some reason it is broken. You can go from one side of the pitch to the other in a very quick fashion, and it's so hard for your opponent to adjust against it and get in behind very quickly. So use the L1 R1 cross to start counter attacks instantaneously. Next we have switching the play. Now, although I don't recommend always switching the play unless you're getting squeezed, you need to assess what your opponent is doing with his defenders. If he is squeezing you and he is marking everyone, it might be a good indication you need to switch, and that comes from your judgment and assessment. But in general, I want you to assess whether your players or attackers are showing themselves enough for you to build up on that side. If not, then switch to the other side, and it will help you build up and get past that defensive line. Next up, we have recycling from the wing, something I have iterated for years on how important it is to do. You need to take the ball to the wing and you need to recycle. And the only way to do that is through attacking through the wing. And once you're out there, you'll notice there will be spacing gaps open for you to exploit. And the only way for you to exploit that is by quick recycles into the center. Now you can recycle either through the byline, you can recycle through a little dink pass that I've also taught on my coaching academy, or you can come back through around the 18-yard box and pass into your striker that way to exploit the space. It's a very good way of breaking down your opponent and scoring goals in FC 25. Give and go is very effective for beating opponents, especially wingbacks. If you do have a situation where you can play a 1-2 around a defender, hold in L1 and the pass button as you release it with your winger or striker, whoever it is, to then run around the approaching defender, and he will make a run. You can then thread a through ball through or regular pass through to that attacker making the run, and it's a very effective way to beat defenders out in wide positions. Last but not least, we have beating team press. You need to take into consideration everything I have taught you on this passing tutorial. We're talking touches to space, we're talking body shape, we're talking first time passes, we're talking high tempo, we are talking everything. Because if you're too slow and lethargic on the ball, the opponent will squeeze you day in, day out. You need to maintain a high tempo, including first time passes, build around press. You can't dawdle, you can't be frantic. You need to maintain a high pace in your build up. If you don't, you will get squeezed and pressed, game in, game out. Ensure your passing is quick with a high tempo, and you're playing those 1-2s you're bouncing the ball back, you're switching, you're doing first time passes, your body shape is on point, everything, okay? And that will help you beat team press. So there you have it, a quick but also extensive, complete guide on passing in FC25. I am coaching one-on-one. If you do want personal one-on-one help with your passing or anything to do with FC25, check it out. The link is down below. I can coach you, okay? You can join the very tight-knit community over there. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, you may enjoy this one here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And lastly, if you do want any pre-gaming fuel or supplement, then head over to atpscience.com, which is the first link in the description, and use the code DylanEtsATP at checkout to get yourself a discount. Not only is it the cheapest way to get supplements, but it helps me out a ton, guys, so thank you.